Hi, today I'm going to show you how to install Android Studio in Ubuntu. So let's start. First of all, we open our browser and type Android Studio 4.0. 4.0 is the latest release. Now we click on the first result. Our first result show you the actual release. We don't want Android 4.1 beta version because sometimes beta version have some new features which contain some works. What we will do is we will go to the recent releases. Now click on Stable Studio. Once we will go there, we will download the 4.0 version of Android Studio. Here you can see Android Studio 4.0 version. Now click on download button. It displays one pop-up menu. Click on term and condition. Now click on download Android Studio. Now we will wait for it to complete. Our download is going on. In the meantime, I will explain you what is Android. Android is an operating system basically designed for mobile. In 2007 or so on, Google released operating system for mobiles, which they called it as Android. It started with the Android version 1.0, then is increased its version number depends on major and minor changes. Major changes increase number 1.0, 1.2.0 and so on. Now currently we available Android version 10. Now this is all about Android. In later part we will discuss how to install Android Studio and try to create one application in Android Studio. So download is finished. Now open this rar.gj file. If you download in Windows you will get in .exe files. I am using Ubuntu. I got this rar.gz file. We extract this Android Studio folder in our desktop. So click on this. This extract will take some time. Click on show the files. Give it a second. Here's our folder. Here you can see all the files. Now we click on bin and open our terminal. Here we write cd desktop Android Studio bin and click on enter. What I will do is I write lsal. We try to run this with studio.sh file. It asks for the previous version. If you download the previous version, it import all the setting from the previous version. As I'm downloading for the first time, so I click on do not import setting. And click on OK. Now click on next. It asks for the type of setup you want. We don't want any customization, so we go with the standard setting. Click on next. Now click on next. It downloads some components, some SDK components, simulator and all. Now click on next and finish. It will take some time. Are some of the components in download. Now it's downloading some build tools. It will take some another few minutes. Now all the components are set up correctly. Now click on finish. Now our Android Studio is download. If you want to create a new Android Studio project, then click on start a new Android Studio project. And if you have some existing project and you want to import in your Android Studio, then click on open an existing Android Studio project. Since we are going to create a new Android Studio project, then we click on start a new Android Studio project. Now it will display some project templates. It's showing some activities like basic activity, empty activity and some other activities. You can choose any of the activity in your application. Since it's a new project, we can select the empty activity. Now click on next. Provide your application name here. First, application, and click on next. Before that, I want to show you I want to tell you some of the things like package name. Here you have to provide your unique package name and the save location where you want to save your Android Studio project, and language. Here you can choose your language. In which language you want to create your application, Kotlin or Java. And the minimum SDK. Minimum SDK, it's showing versions of Android. You can choose any of the Android version. Android display one states that this minimum SDK display used in approximately 99.8% of the devices, means billion of the devices you can run your application. Now after click on finish, it open your Android Studio. It will take some time to load because it's load some files, some indexing. So when you open your Android Studio next time, it will open fast. Once it finishes indexing, then we will write our code. If you're noticing, it download Gradle. So I'm going to give you a quick review about what is Gradle. Gradle is a build tool which is basically used to build our Android application projects. This Gradle is responsible for code compilation, testing, deployment and conversion of the code into .dex file and hence running the app on device. A build is not a compiler or a linker. It controls the operation of compilation, linking of file, running test cases, and building the code into the APK file of your application. There are two types of Gradle. One is for application and other one is for your project level. Here, my project is created on Kotlin. By default, I forgot to choose the language Java. That's why I'm going to create one new project in Java. Click on New Project. Now click on Empty Activity and click on Next. Here, we select the language Java. And the name of your application, let it be my application. Click on Finish. Now it will our new project. When I click on project, it displays some folders and the Java file inside the REC main. Here we got main activity.java. That is basically a one empty activity right now. Now there is one resource folder. This folder basically contains some UI configurations like layouts, travels. Travel is used to store your image layouts for create your XML files and all. To create my application, first I'll start with XML, my side with UI. In this XML file, I'm going to create one button. When I click on that button, it displays some text. Now our XML file is loading. This is our XML file is loaded. Here there is a by default one text box in this file. So now we click on code. Here we don't need the text and we add one ID text view. And now I'm going to add one button. Here we use linear layout just to make this app simple. And I already covered a series which talk about the layouts. Now copy button and paste it here. There is no need for this code. Now click on main activity.java. Now we will define one button. Here we can use find view by ID. Here we pass the ID that we are using XML file. Alt enter and import the r.id.button. If you want to customize the ID names, you just write it button first and text view second. Here change button first. Now here we use a listener. When I click on button, it display text. So button dot set on click listener new click on click listener on click. We use text view is to find view by ID r.id.text view second and text view dot set text my first application. You can set the size of the text, so text view dot set text size, and here you pass one number. Now so before run the program, we will create one virtual device on your laptop. It will work as your actual mobile device. So here we click on AVD manager. Now click on create virtual device. Here you see some options. I'll choose Pixel 2 and click on next. Here I choose Q for testing. And click on next. Now it's download. It will take some time. Now click on finish. Here we click on next. Then finish. Our AVD and a virtual device is created. Now cancel. Now I'm going to run my program on this device. AVD is open. This is a virtual device where our application is run. Your mobile device is starting. Here you can find all the features as your mobile device, like you can rotate your phone, camera, and you can switch off your phone. Here you can see our application, our first application. It displays one button. It displays some text. My first application. In this way you can create your application in Android Studio. It's a simple. click on Tools, Device File Explorer. It displays some directories of your device. Mainly you use storage, accumulated, 0. Here all the standard directories are here. So in the text view we will pass null. We don't initialize our text view. So when we run our program, this application is crashes and we will show where you see the error in the Android Studio. So I'm going to run this program. So when I click on button, our application is crashed. When I click on run, it displays the error, null object reference. Here you can see your error. In the logcat, you get all the errors related to your application, your background threads, everything you can find in logcat. When you search, you can search your error, null object reference. So it can show the error here. So you can find in the logcat and as well as in run. I'm close the Android device. Here, I open the Android device using command studio.sh. So this is not a good way to open your Android device every time. So here we create icon like Chrome and other Chrome Zoom. So we enter. Now our Android Studio is open. Now click on Tool, Desktop Entry. Click on OK. Your password. Now close Android Studio. Desktop. You will see a desktop entry is here. One thing we will do is command line launcher. Click on OK. Your password. Another thing we can do is add to favorite and close Android Studio. Here you can see the icon. You can open your Android Studio directly.